I started teaching next door in Georgetown County at the elementary level, and I noticed rather quickly that a lot of my students couldn't read, and that led over into their other subject areas as well, because you have to be able to read science textbooks and social studies textbooks. Also, they did not score very well on standardized tests. And all of this confused me because I knew them. And I knew that they were smart. They were much smarter than their scores indicated. They were funny, and they were witty, and they were silly, and they were sarcastic, and they were complicated. They were so much more than their scores were saying. And so I went and got my master's degree in teaching English. I thought that that would be a better way to impact reading. And I taught at the high school level for just 1 year. And I saw that that was not the case, that in fact it is harder to teach reading at the high school level. And so now I'm getting my PhD in this very thing to help to try to bring some equity to education. So, what is literacy? The obvious thing that literacy is our ability to communicate with each other. We need to be able to be functional and relay messages about things that we desire or that we want to happen. But we also use literacy in lots of other ways, and everybody has it. God gave everybody this innate, potent intelligence. So we also use literacy to express ourselves. We express ourselves through the family stories that we tell, and through the art and the music that we create, and the way that we dress and do our hair. All of this is literacy. Literacy is in everything that we see and that we understand and perceive and that we communicate, whether we mean to or not, with the world. Literacy, in essence, is love. The development of literacy is love, because we begin the very first day that we are born, and when we speak to our babies and when we coo to them and carry them around and share eye contact. We begin to understand words at the very same time that we begin to understand the world. It happens simultaneously. Therefore, no one has the same exact literacy, but everyone does have it. Everyone has literacy because literacy is love. It is God's love, and it is our understanding of the world. It's our histories, both individual and collective. All of this we get at the same time, our understanding of the Word and the world. So where can we see literacy in our communities? We see literacy in the way that we express ourselves, with our art, and with our music, with other things that our children create. We see it in our family rituals and the way that we talk to each other. We see it in our signs and in our communities and all of our familiar buildings. I think that you guys all know that one. We see it in the house of God. We definitely saw it today. It was inspiring. If you put your hand in the middle of your head and you move it back about an inch, to either side right there is where you recognize words. And so that might be something that you'd be asked to do on a standardized test, is to recognize words. But do you know where it happens when you can create a conversation with somebody? It's all over. It's much higher level than the things that we're doing on standardized assessments. How are you capable of creating sentences? Did you know that every sentence that you begin, that we don't know exactly how it will end, unless you wrote it down like I did. That doesn't count. But almost every conversation that you have, you can finish your thoughts and your sentences without thinking about it beforehand, and you can change them right in the middle depending on what other people are doing. And that is advanced, and everybody has that. So, if we are so advanced, and everybody has that inside of them, the first thing we want to do is recognize the literacies that we have. We cook, we read, we play games with our children, and all of these things that we do in our communities are the foundation of literacy. So, what you already do suggests a far more potent intelligence than what is measured at school. When literacy level goes up, however, so does achievement, and that's what we're here and talking about today, right? We want our children to be lovers of reading, and we want them to have knowledge about the world, but we also want them to be successful in our culture. And for them to be successful in our culture, they have to have a concept of academic literacy. In the 3rd grade, children typically stop learning to read, and they start reading to learn, which means that if they're struggling with reading, they are no longer necessarily getting help with that, not across the board, and so they will struggle with reading all of the other texts that they have in class as well.
Parents, we're in a crisis, and I love you and I love your children. Your children know me. I've been in their school since kindergarten, and unless they're in kindergarten, I promise you they know me. So I am telling you, do not allow that to happen. And why are we not allowing that to happen? We're not allowing it to happen because of this. Because of what I'm about to show you. The percentage of students from our 2006 graduating class. Our district has 50.7% attending either a 2-year college or a 4-year college. And guys, what I'm going to tell you, probably a third of those kids came right back home after Christmas.
Right.
Of this year. I'm not talking about 10 years. I'm talking about this school year. They went, and what did they do?
Come back home.
They came right back because they were not prepared. The state's level is 70.8. We are 20 points below the state in the number of kids we even put into a 2- or 4-year situation. Parents, we must change something about what we're doing. Parents, this is the most disconcerting number to me. How many of you said you wanted your kids to go to college again? I want those hands up. Because I need you to see what's going to make that not possible. Because let me tell you something, the HBCUs are going to take them. The historically black colleges and universities are going to take every last one that apply if they walk across the stage. Does that mean they're ready?
Nope.
And let me show you what I mean by this. The state says a kid must have an 18 to just be barely ready to go to college on the ACT. What is that score again?
18.
18 and English. Only 16.1% of our students got that. I'm talking about the whole district now. 11th grade. All 11th graders that took the test last year, only 16.1% met the bare minimum score that says you can barely read to go to college. Did you know that? No. You didn't go to the board meeting, did you? No. You didn't ask, did you? No. See, I am not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to tell you the truth. I am not put here for any other reason. Let's look at the second number, please. In mathematics, what is the state score? A 22. 2.8% of our kids met that.
Probably not.
You know how many kids that is? Out of 300 kids that took the test, that's probably 3. Whoa. That first number? That's maybe 6. I'm talking about 300 juniors from across the entire what? County. But maybe more than 300, maybe about 320. Look at reading. She talked to us about reading, and parents, I really wish you were soaking it in because I was a literacy specialist, reading specialist for a mighty long time. What is the state score? 22. 4.2% of our babies in 11th grade in this district met that. That's about 3 kids. But, and I'm going to get to something else, and I don't want y'all to run me out of your church when I ask the next question after this. In science, what's the score? 3.1%. How many kids met the benchmark in every one? 0.3. 3/10. 1 child.
The whole child.
One whole child.
You can't stand that.
Parents, those who are in education, or those who are coming to meetings, know I've been offering free SAT, ACT practice since I have been an educator. Now 8 years at the district, since I started at C.E. Murray, where we kept the high score simply because of teachers who just stayed free and did it. People don't pay us for that. That's beyond the job. That extra practice. Parents, something has to be done different. Remember I said educational crisis? Do we now know why I call it a crisis? Parents, I don't want you to raise your hands, but I want you to think about what I'm about to ask you. And I'm very serious about this. because this is going to be the only way we're going to change the mindset. Parents, I want you to close your eyes when I ask this question, because I know it's going to be painful when I ask it. So parents, grandparents, family members, just close your eyes and ask this question and think about it. How many of you know kids who came home with either the A or B honor roll that are either in your church or in your house, but you really don't know what their scores are? I just want you to think about that. They came home with an A+ honor roll, and you have no idea what their scores were. I want it to sort of sink in, because I'm going to take you back to those 320 11th graders that took the test. If we have 60 of these people who we say are A+ students, and only one met that score,
It's only one moving forward.
what do you think? What do you think? That means only one kid is going on full merit. What I mean by that is one kid is going to college out of that class, if they were going to go to college at that moment, where the school did not have to put them where? In what classes? Remedial classes. Your child takes one whole year of remedial classes that you're paying for that do not count towards a degree. Remember what I just said. Whose children are these? Ours. And you don't come to school board meetings, who are you giving your power to? Ms. Rush is going to try to keep enough God in herself to not want to do anything wrong. Everybody may not have that mindset.
Got that right.
But you giving me your power so you can't grumble.
Got that right.
I'm not being funny. If you give me all your power,
That's right.
who's at the top of the chart again?
Parents.
When parents don't show up, who's at the top of the chart again?
Not the parents.
You took your power away from yourself, guys.
Get with it,
Don't do that.
That's the problem. And it's not right that your kids, my kids, or any of the children in this area are going to have to go to school as 50 years old with no teachers. And I tried to tell them, I said, yeah, you live good in Greenville. You live good at Myrtle Beach, along the coast. But you're never going to be as good as you can be because we're holding you back. And we're holding you back because you like to try to ignore the middle part of the state. But you can't fix what you won't face. And it's not going to get better unless you face it. So there's a push to try to change the way that we educate people in South Carolina, but there's just the powers that be that just seem to like the way that it is. And there's some people that don't even like public education. They believe, well, pay for your kids, and if you can't, well, whatever. There's that attitude. So what I'm telling you is I'm begging you, help us help you. Get involved. Come to that school board meeting. Don't take no for an answer. Look, I'm a politician. I know how to try to brush it off. Get, you call me, oh yeah, got the gal, I'll call you back. Whatever. But guess what? If you're persistent, there comes a time where I have to answer to you. And even if ultimately, if I don't answer to you, because you can do it this coming June, if you don't want me no more, you vote, whatever, write in Donald Duck, whatever. You can fix it. And we need you to fix it and participate in it. It's bad. And think about it, even if you don't have any children, having a bad school district causes your property value to what? Decrease. The number, when you go on Zoom or whatever the website is to look at the value of houses, the first thing pops up is what? School district. School district. And once upon a time, people said, oh, I'm going to run over here to C.E. Murray. C.E. Murray grades just as bad. Hemingway just as bad. King Street just as bad. There's nowhere to run now. And guess what? Yes, our friends that can afford to go to the academy, they may get whatever education, but guess what? They hurt too, because they got to drive just as far for to go to work, and their house depreciates just like yours. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. And what's the outcome? What are we facing? They come in and take over the school district, which is going to be God knows what. We've got to fix it. There's no turning back. There's no way to get around this. If you stick your head in the sand and think it's going to go away, it won't. It won't. And it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, black or white. This county is where it is. And we are facing, and just look around us. We're like the desert in the middle of opportunity, right? You cross the Santee River going south towards Berkeley County. Berkeley on fire. Get to Florence. Boy, let's slow down before you get to Alligator Road because the traffic is down. It's down 52.
Amen.
Manning's doing well. Everybody else doing well except us. Now they got their problems. They have, but for the most part, they don't. And that's because they have good schools and they have good leadership. And I'll say this: some of you need to also step up and potentially run for office and run for the school board. You have to. If you don't like what's going on, you either make the people in power be accountable to you or get rid of them. That's it. And I know that's bad for me to say because I'm one of the people in power. And so it sounds like I'm encouraged. And hey, so well, if I got to go by the wayside, then so well that be too. But you cannot allow this to go on. I can't fight with you. I can't fight for you with this. You're asking me to make bricks without straw. So when I go and I sit there, and then the other thing we have to do too, ladies and gentlemen, is the few businesses we get, we got to stop finding fault with them. I'll give you a perfect example. Just like you sit at home at night and Google stuff, there's some rich guy with a business that sits around and he Googles, I want to put me a plant somewhere. I heard of you. I went hunting last week in King Street. King Street, that's business. And every time you see a business come up, you see local communities up in arms about the business.
Yeah.
What's he going to say? I can find some people that will welcome me. And I'll tell you another thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't mean to step on any toes. We have to work the jobs that we have. Because I talk to the people at Sykes, and you know what they tell me? And I can't defend it, because I go in there like, they're not hiring our people. They tell me the same thing. When Bike Week come, they can't find nobody to work. And people will quit, and go to the beach to pay $400 for a room with bed bugs. They'll quit. You know what the owner of Palmetto Synthetic tells me? I'm dying to find some people to do overtime. I can't. Why? Because they want to watch football on Sunday. You got to pay the price to be the boss. And you ain't there yet, so you need to do what you need to do.
Amen.